Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
And welcome to The Savage Nation. This is John DePetro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage. I'd like you to be part of the program. Call 1-855-400-SAVAGE. Our phone number, 1-855-400-7282. Don't forget our website, michaelsavage.com, where you can now pre-order. It's available now to order. Countdown to Mecca by Michael Savage. Now, it's not available until May 12th, but you can order it right now at the website, michaelsavage.com. Well, Monday will be the running of the Boston Marathon, and headlines coast to coast. Parents of boy killed in Boston bombing oppose the death penalty for Dzhokhar Sarnaia. Now, for the last few months, Bill and Denise Richard have let the government use the death of their son, just 8-year-old Martin Richard. He was used to drive home the heinous, depraved nature of the bombing of the 2013 Boston Marathon. New York Times with the story. He was with his family, just 8 years old, cheering on the runners. And then you see the video. Dzhokhar Sarnaia, one of the two brothers, standing there for 4 minutes before the bomb went off, killing little Martin Richard. The government showcased Martin's death, opening and closing argument that just took place, where he was found guilty. Now they're moving into the penalty phase. And on the table, what does the government want? Death. Death penalty for the remaining Boston bomber. If you remember, he ran over his brother, who had a shootout with police. But during the course of the trial, now prosecutors put Bill Richard on the stand. They had the medical examiner describe excruciating detail what the bomb did to his son, little 8-year-old Martin Richard. They showed the jury the burned clothes Martin had been wearing. And now as the government prepares to make its case why the Boston bomber should be put to death, the Richard family says it has had enough. In an open letter to the Department of Justice, the Richards asked the government, stop seeking the death penalty. We're in favor, would support taking it off the table. Now, this is the parents of the youngest victim, the little 8-year-old boy. Let's go back. This was the reaction outside of court with other victims, family members of victims, when the jury came back with the guilty verdict.
I don't believe that there will ever be justice brought to this, no matter if he does get the death penalty or he remains in prison for the rest of his life. I do believe, however, that he should be held accountable for his actions, and I'm very thankful for each of the jury members that are making him do that.
Carmen Ortiz, U.S. Attorney, District of Massachusetts, gave no indication that the government would drop the death penalty. She said she discussed the case confidentially, scores of victims and survivors, listened to all their views on it, but the parents of little Martin Richard, who basically was the focal point during the course of the government's case, they are arguing, saying that they cannot move ahead with their lives with their two remaining children if the defendant continues to be in the news. I want to talk about this and take your phone calls on it at 1-855-400-SAVAGE, 1-855-400-7282, because those who are against the death penalty are already calling out that here you have the parents of the youngest victim, and now they're opposed to the death penalty. I'll tell you why I believe they should go ahead with it. Number one, no one can relate to what those parents feel like. But this was an attack on all of us. This was an attack. The Boston bombing was a terrorist attack on the entire nation. Now, if you are one of those people that is against the death penalty, and they're going to point to the fact that the parents are against it, I will give you a chance to make your argument this afternoon on the Savage Nation. Just dial us up, 1-855-400-SAVAGE, 1-855-400-7282. Think of in 9/11, during 9/11, if one of the hijackers had lived, somehow down at Ground Zero, if one of those hijackers had lived, I would say, my view would be, that the penalty should be death, that they have forfeited the right. It was an attack on the entire country. They have forfeited the right to now exist in the world. And I think the only appropriate penalty should be death. Now, what if you had people on 9/11 saying, listen, my family was sacrificed, I lost a family member, I am against the death penalty. I don't think we can take the parents' feelings into account here. I feel awful what happened with the Richards. And they lost mightily with the loss of their little 8-year-old son, Martin Richard, who the government did use in the case. At the very end, jurors were sobbing and openly crying in court as they were watching the video and hearing the nature of that little boy and how he died. But at the same time, all right, the fact that they're against it. What about other survivors? What about family members of other victims? I don't think we can just say that because they're against it, because they're against the death penalty, that now we should wipe it off the table. I think, the problem here is now this will be a rallying cry for maybe those more liberal, and of course in Massachusetts, highly liberal, and they're going to be arguing that maybe, in fact, now he should not get the death penalty. Should the government hold firm? Should the government go ahead with the death penalty for the Boston bomber? 1-855-400-SAVAGE. 1-855-400-7282. Remember, our website is michaelsavage.com. This is John DePetro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage. And again, it's horrendous what happened to this little boy. It's horrendous what these parents have had to go through. And now the parents have written an open letter, because this is all going to take place next week. This is when the penalty phase comes into play. And Monday will be the running of the Boston Marathon. And now this is going to be what people are now going to be talking about. And they're going to be using the fact that the parents are against it. That the parents of the little boy, who was really used to persuade the jury, they're going to be using that now he should not be given the death penalty. But like I said, this was not just they're not the only ones that lost. This was, in fact, an attack on everybody. This was an attack on the country. This was an attack on the United States. This is not just that their son was the victim of a crime. This is not just a murder that was perpetrated. This was a terrorist act that those two terrorists, those two brothers, carried out, where they killed the 3 at the marathon. Then they killed a security guard. What was their plan? They had carjacked a car. They had planned to go to Times Square, New York, where they were going to set off more pressure cooker bombs. Their goal was to kill Americans. Their crime was against all Americans. The youngest victim happened to be the 8-year-old boy, Martin Richard. The fact that maybe his parents have always been against the death penalty. So the fact that they lost their son has no bearing on that. But I don't think we can allow that to come into play. I believe that the government has to go forward with the plan. This was a murderous, cowardly, terrorist act, and the Boston bomber deserves the death penalty, even if all of the family members of the victims come forward. Even if all the family members say that they are against the death penalty. That is the penalty. And maybe they have been through a lot. And there's something wrong with the process that it takes this long, and I agree that he is going to be in the headlines as he and his cohorts and sympathizers try to fight him getting the death penalty. It shouldn't take so long as it does when you have these people sitting on death row. But I think he does deserve the death penalty, as opposed to what? Sitting in a federal prison somewhere with other terrorists and hanging out with them, or then being a hero online, or being a martyr to people who can send him mail, or he'll get Christmas cards, or women that will write to him, or other people that will send him letters of support. No. The government needs to go ahead and give the Boston bomber the death penalty, even though now the liberal media, like the New York Times and the Boston Globe, are running with the story that his parents have sent a letter saying that they are against him from receiving the death penalty. On number 1-855-400-SAVAGE. 1-855-400-7282. This is John DePetro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage, and this is the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Your Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust for tangible assets, gold and silver.
1-855-400-SAVAGE, 1-855-400-7282. You're listening to the Savage Nation. This is John DePetro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage. Remember our website, michaelsavage.com. This is a national story. This is terrorism. This is an attack on the country. And whether or not we're going to allow, whether it be political correctness or liberal influence, to somehow override and decide whether or not we're a nation of laws. New York Post headline, New York Times headline, ABC headline, NBC headline, parents of boy killed in Boston bombing now oppose the death penalty for the Boston bomber. I sympathize with the parents of the youngest victim, but I believe, no, the government should go forward. This was an act of terrorism against the United States, not just the little boy and his family. Let's go out to line 5. Annie is listening on WABC in New York. Annie, you're up first on the Savage Nation. Hello, Annie.
Hello. Thank you, John. I agree with you totally about the death penalty. They convicted him. He's guilty. And the whole problem is we can't wait 25 years while all the appeals go through and more lawyers get involved, and we can't do this and we can't do that. Let's do it within the month, you know. Let's do it and do it quickly, and next we can go to Hassan over there in Fort Hood and do the right thing by him.
Annie, not only that, but Annie, what if a President Obama, or maybe not him, but someone like him, or some other liberal, progressive politician, what if then going down the line they start to pardon some of these terrorists? What if they decide the way, you know, we have to close Club Gitmo? And what if eventually, see, to me, that's the real difficulty that you have to watch out for, is I believe the way the country is headed, at some point, there would be some liberal politician who would then call to let these people go. Don't you agree?
He's letting them go anyway. I mean, it's almost empty right now. The politicians are going down to Cuba. What are they going to get condos at Gitmo? What is they're rushing over to Cuba like, it's the new land of opportunity. I say keep Gitmo open and make it for the politicians too, like Pelosi and Cuomo, who went down there, just to scat out the area. What are they doing? Trying to buy their new condominiums down there and make it a new Miami Beach? What is the problem with these people thinking that...
all right, let's keep it on this, though. Thank you for the call, Annie. 1-855-400-SAVAGE. 1-855-400-7282. What if the family member of someone who is a victim of terrorism suddenly steps forward and says, I'm against the death penalty? Should we